Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. We're now through all our Sunday games for Week 14, so we have our Week 14 Sunday night football game, which is Houston at Kansas City. So let's dive into the data. Starting off, we have Houston at Kansas City, where Kansas City is favored on the money line with a spread of 3.5 and a total line of 41.5. And then here's the average data for both teams this season. And then here's the average data for both teams this season. And then looking at the rankings, you have Houston with about an average to below average offense, a scoring rank of 21, passing rank of 12, and a rushing rank of 23. They do have quite a good defense, though, with an allowed scoring rank at 1, being the best in the league at preventing their opponents from scoring, an allowed passing rank of 4, and an allowed rushing rank of 4 as well, and an allowed tight end rank of 5. Kansas City, on the other hand, has a pretty good offense, with a scoring rank of 9, a passing rank of 1, being the best in the league at passing, a rushing rank of 14, and a tight end rank of 3. Defensively, they're also pretty good, not quite as good as Houston, but they still have an allowed scoring rank of 7, allowed passing rank of 11, allowed rushing rank of 10, and allowed tight end rank of 13. Moving to individual player data, and starting with the quarterbacks, you have CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes, with Stroud getting an average of 14.4 fantasy points per game, and Mahomes averaging 22.2. Here's their seasonal averages. And then looking at the turnovers, Stroud only has 6 interceptions this season, and Mahomes has only 7 interceptions this season as well. Looking at how they impact the rushing game, you have Stroud with about 10.3% of the rushing carry share and about 15.8% of the rushing yard share. And then with Mahomes, you have 18.6% of the rushing carry share and 26.8% of the rushing yard share. For your running backs, you have Woody Marks and Kareem Hunt. Marks averaging 9.1 fantasy points per game, and Kareem Hunt averaging 10.2. Here's their seasonal averages. And looking at the turnovers, you have nothing that was given up this season by Woody Marks, but you do have 1 rushing fumble from Kareem Hunt. And then with their share, Woody Marks is at 46.2% of the rushing carry share and 40.7% of the rushing yard share, with the biggest chunk going to the backup now of Nick Chubb at 39.3% for both metrics. For Kareem Hunt, he's at 44.1% of the rushing carry share and 39.7% of the rushing yard share. And that, of course, comes because Isaiah Pacheco gets quite a bit, being the starter that's out. And, of course, another large chunk of that goes to Mahomes that we just saw. For our number 1 receivers, you have Nico Collins and Rashid Rice, with Collins averaging 15.3 fantasy points per game and Rashid Rice averaging 21.7. And then swapping over to their seasonal averages and looking at the turnovers, where Rice has had a couple times where he's dropped the ball but has not actually lost them to the other team, managed to recover them back, so he has no turnovers recorded for this season. And Nico Collins has 1 rushing fumble. You also have their share, with Nico Collins at 25.3% of the target share and 29.8% of the receiving yard share. That is the largest for both metrics of anybody else on the team. And for Rice, he's at 14.3% of the target share and 15.1% of the receiving yard share. And part of that was because he missed about half the season, so he's still making up some of these numbers for his team. For your number 2 receivers, you have Jaden Higgins and Xavier Worthy, with Higgins averaging 7.7 fantasy points per game, and Worthy just under 9 fantasy points per game. With no turnovers, here are their averages, and we're going to move into the charts, so go ahead and pause the video and look at this more closely if you need the time. But moving into our share data, you have Higgins with 13.3% of the target share and 13.5% of the receiving yard share, and then you have Xavier Worthy with 14.4% of the target share and 12.5% of the receiving yard share. For your tight ends, you have Dalton Schultz and Travis Kelce, with Schultz averaging 10 fantasy points per game and Kelce averaging about 13.6. Once again, there's no turnovers between the 2 tight ends, so we'll just switch over to the averages and pause if you need a moment to look through them, but we're going to look into their share, where you have Schultz with 21.3% of the target share and 20.7% of the receiving yard share, and then you have Kelce with almost 19% of the target share and 22.5% of the receiving yard share. That also makes Kelce the most targeted and has the most receiving yards on the Chiefs. So there's all your data for this game. It should be an interesting one because you have a pretty good offense over here with Kansas City, but they are going against one of the best defenses in the league. So if they get stopped, it may very well be Houston's game, but they still need to figure out their offense against a pretty good defense as well. So it could come down to a very low-scoring game. It may come down to a low-scoring game, but as always, looking at their scoring ranks, you have this allowed scoring rank of 1 against the scoring rank of 9 here for Kansas City. So Kansas City may have a very tough time scoring against them, although they are pretty good at scoring for themselves. But here's where Houston falls short with their scoring rank of 21 against an allowed scoring rank of 7. I think Houston's going to have a very hard time scoring against Kansas City, which is why I think Kansas City has the edge in this game, especially being home as well. But we'll just have to see if it really plays out that way. So there you have it for Sunday Night Football. I hope that you enjoyed and got something out of it, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what other data you want to see in the future. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for Monday Night Football.